Hello, Elizabeth. Now, Elizabeth Oakes. Who are you?
Well, obviously, my name is Elizabeth Oakes. I'm actually from Navan, and I'm one of the only people in Ireland to have a degree in mortuary science.
Do you want to talk us through that?
Well,
Whereabouts in Navan are you from?
Johnstown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where are you from, actually?
Well, the father's still living in Balrisk,
Very good.
just across the little bridge from me.
Lovely.
And is your family there long?
Forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, born and reared on a farm in Johnstown.
And would any of your family gone to school?
Ah, well.
I'm trying to think. Are you married?
I am married to a wonderful man, thank God.
And so is your family name Oakes?
Oh, yes.
All right.
My family
I
name's
knew no Oakes in school.
No, I'd say I'm definitely younger vintage than you, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, the cheeky little head in you. That's why I was asking about your father, because I didn't think we were the same age at all.
No, definitely not.
Either that or I suffer from stress a lot more than you do. But I've known your father going to school right now.
No.
I've never, Jesus Christ. When you're asking a young one, did I know your father? That's the end. You're in the end game then. So I don't think I knew your father going to school. But anyway, tell me about mortuary science.
So what mortuary science is, it's basically a degree in funeral directing and embalming. So when I was very young, look, I've always been very entrepreneurial. Since the age of 8, I've always ran and had my own businesses. When I was 8, I used to supply rabbits and guinea pigs into the pet shops in Navan. I grew up on a farm and I knew about the birds and the bees. So
and how... how did you get the rabbits and guinea pigs to breed?
I bought a boy and a girl.
And you knew that...
Well, growing up on a farm, you kind of know what happens around the place.
Because people are riding around the whole time.
Well, sheep in particular, yeah.
Okay,
Then I progressed. I bought and sold a couple of ponies, Connemara ponies. Yeah. And when I went to Mercy Convent, actually in Navan, I set up a little tuck shop run called Busy Lizzie, where as soon as the bell would go, I'd write down everyone's name and what they wanted in the shop. And the deal was I wouldn't give you any change. And you had to give me at least 50 cents for going. But the more that you ordered, the more money commission I had to get.
Yeah.
Do you know, and I had a deal done then with the nun to say I didn't have to stand in the queue. I just ran in, filled a bag with sweets. She'd hotted up the list. And I was back in the classroom within 5 minutes. And I had about 10 or 15 euro in my pocket every day for myself. You know what I mean? So it was a great little business. I actually got awards for attending school because I never missed a day. Honest to God, yeah, it was great. So obviously I never missed a day because I was making so much money by just going into school. But then what happened was
did it ever strike you just to buy some sweets and share them with your friends?
That would have been very entrepreneurial, would it?
No.
So it came to the Leaving Cert. And now, academically, I probably wouldn't have been the most committed. I was only going to the school because of the work or the business, you know. So our career guidance teacher gave us this FOSS disc at the time. And what happened was I went home, put it into the computer, and I wanted to find a career that was the shortest amount of time in education, but where you got the most money at the end. And next thing, I was going through all this stuff, and it said embalmer, 1 year apprenticeship, 60,000 per annum. I didn't actually read any further. I wrote down and I didn't even have to have me Leaving Cert. All I needed was an interview. I said, this is win-win. I went into my mother. We have a little cottage, and I remember she was drying the dishes. And I said, Ma'am, you have to ring this number. I have to go and have an interview. I'm going to be an embalmer. And I remember she flicked the towel over her shoulder. She said, give me that. And into the phone in the front window. Rang this number in Mayo and plamassed away, and she said, right, get your stuff ready, we're going down on Saturday for your interview to be an embalmer. To Mayo, to a guy called Dave McGowan.
Yeah.
I was delighted with life. So I hadn't studied up till that anyways in school, and now I didn't even have to do the Leaving Cert if I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So I went down to Mayo, and I remember I'd my mind...
Was he surprised to see you?
He probably was.
Was there a queue of people trying to get in the door?
No, I was the only student.
You were the only one that turned up.
So I went in and had the interview, or the chat anyway, and he said, right, if this is what you want to do, I'll take you on the course. I said, brilliant. So that was the start of it. As soon as I finished the Leaving Cert, I was shipped off to Ballina to start my apprenticeship.
Now, what in the interview, what did he say to you was involved?
Well, he said it was like an operation and that, you had to be okay with that. And I said, well, look, from when I was 5, I used to lamb a lot of sheep. And I said, there's 3 things sheep love doing: getting caught in wire, getting stuck on their back, and dying. So I said, I'll be grand. And he accepted me on the course. And as I said, at that stage, I just had my mind made up, and this is what I was going to do. So off I went to Mayo, and I started my apprenticeship down there. And I did everything from driving the hearse, digging the grave.
You weren't selling sweets on the road as your... What actually is embalming?
Well, in embalming, it's an operation that happens on the dead body, where what happens is when the blood settles in the body and is no longer been circulated around, what happens is the blood can actually stain. It goes black and it can stain the body. And what embalming does, it solidifies the protein in the cell to stop the body from going off or decaying. So therefore, we remove the blood from the body and we replace that blood with our embalming chemical, which preserves the proteins in the cells.
And how much fluid is it?
About 2 gallons.
And does it have any other uses?
Sheep dip, maybe. No, formaldehyde.
It's formaldehyde?
It's formaldehyde, yeah. So that's basically the procedure. And obviously we wash the body and we cosmetise and we would do the hair and put them into their coffin and make sure that they were, really appropriately presented to the family.
When you walk into a room where there's a body, you talk me through that. Like what? Do you have music on? Do you listen to the radio?
I actually like chatting to them.
Okay.
I know that thing, but I always think...
What do you say to them?
It's maybe, I've been chatting to them and it's just, I suppose, I look at the person and I try and figure out, what sort of life had they.
So tell me, give me an example of what you'd say. So you walk in.
I'd say, well, Betty, today I'm Elizabeth and I'm going to be looking after you. You don't have to worry. You're in good care now. And, then I start doing my procedure and that's really how it goes. And
would you talk to them while you're doing the procedure?
Oh, yeah, you would. Because otherwise I'm a chatter.
And there's no fear of interruption? So, but as you're talking, what are you saying? Say you're doing something with their feet or their legs, or what do you say?
The way I think of it, or I suppose the way I've had to think of it, I feel they're going up to this big party up in the sky. Okay. And it's my responsibility to get them ready for this party. And I would say, look, you're going to meet lots of people up there and I'm going to have you looking lovely. You don't have to worry about anything. And, I really do feel that it's a huge responsibility to get this person looking as well as they can for the big party that I feel is up there.
Would you ever talk to them about stuff that you're going through?
Oh, well, you might. But you're not going to get any advice, are you?
It's an amazing... I suppose the rest of us are so scared of bodies, I suppose, that they feel so... when you kiss a corpse...
I know.
They feel so cold and...
I know. I always say this, trying to lighten everybody. I say, just like talking about sex won't make you pregnant, talking about death won't make you dead.
Yeah.
Let's start the conversation.
Well, what do you think we need to talk about when it comes to death?
I do think it's important that people make funeral wishes, and that it can definitely lessen the grief process, and it can put people into a different mode when a death occurs.
Okay.
If the person who's deceased has even a song that they like, or if they want to be buried or cremated, it can make a huge difference to the family that's left behind. So, and it's inevitable. We're all going to die.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it is probably the most significant event that's going to happen in our lives, yet we have no control over it. So, yeah, it's an important one. And that's something that I would definitely advocate, is start talking about what you would like for your end of life options.
But when? Like, I'm 50.
I'd be starting to make arrangements. So yeah, but look, it's obviously a very, very important job, and I feel very, very privileged to have that ability. You know what I mean? And I always feel people spend a year organising and getting ready for their wedding, where only 2 people might see them, or not 200 people might see them. Yet when you're dead, you've nothing prepared, and there could be 2,000 people coming to view you, and you don't know what you're going to wear or what way you're going to look. So it's a huge, I suppose, privilege for me to give the person that my time, and to be able to look after them the way I would look after my own.
I was very grateful when my mother died, Paddy Fitzsimons in Navan, and the way that himself and his family, one of the things I really enjoyed was the pageantry of it. So as the coffin was making its way from the removal home to the church, Paddy, he walked out in front of the hearse with a massive, he was dressed in black with a big black top hat, and he kind of strode out and he stopped the traffic. The hearse went down Trimgate Street, and it was like this woman's death was an event that the town had to stop for. And I thought that was, I remember as a young, I presume it still happens now, as a young fella, no matter where you were, what you were doing, if a hearse was driving past, you'd stop. You'd take off your hat or whatever, and you'd let them go,
Yeah, definitely. In Ireland, we do death well, and the funeral directors and they do an amazing job.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel we have it right in this country, and even the whole wake and the people coming to the house, people need that healthy and supportive, safe place to grieve, where they can have their outpours of emotion and know that people understand it.
Well, I get a great sense of care off you, and I think that's obvious to anybody who'd listen to you. Your care for the people who are grieving, but also to respect the sanctity of the person who has just died. Whatever you do, I mean, I know you have an eye for a book as well, So do you continue to work as an embalmer and a funeral director?
Well, I always stayed current within the funeral industry, and about 2 years ago I attended a convention, and I came upon this technology, which is a sustainable, environmentally friendly alternative to flame cremation and burial, and it's actually cremation through water instead of flame. So I was shortlisted for Ireland's Best Young Entrepreneur of the Year with my business startup idea, and we're hoping to have that open in 2020.
How does that work through water?
So basically, there's a stainless steel vessel. The body is wrapped in a woolen shroud and placed within the vessel.
Just like Jesus.
Yeah. And what happens is it's a solution made up of 95% water and 5% alkaline. And that's washed over the body, and it dissolves all the soft tissues. So what remains then are the bones.
Yeah. So
the bones are then taken out and put into what's called a cremulator. It's the same as with flame cremation. And then processed. Is
that a thing? That's not an espresso.
No, it's more like a food processor. And they're processed down to the dust then that the family receive as their loved one's ash.
Wow.
Yeah. And I definitely think it's going to revolutionise the actual industry as a whole.
Yeah.
It's not very often that I suppose, younger people, female, enter this industry. And I just really feel with the green agenda, with the reach that I have on social media at present, that the time is right. My voice would be heard.
Well, fair play to you, and thank you very much for coming and talking to me this evening. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Oak.